All right, everybody. All right. First things first, which is... How do I unpin this message? First things first, which is... if you've been waiting here for an hour, I am very, very sorry. The stream was not supposed to be scheduled for what it was initially, 7:15 p.m. EST. Thursdays, it's always 8:15 PST is when it's scheduled for. Mondays is 7:15 p.m. EST. I must have typed in 7:15 on just on habit, basically. Thursdays is normally a little bit later. So I'm sorry if you waited super duper long. Second thing I'm sorry about is I was also 5 minutes late to the new scheduled time, which was supposed to be 7:30 p.m. EST. So yeah, didn't get that either. Bradley Sherwood. Oh, thank you for joining the Pirate King tier. So for those of you who don't know, I hope you enjoy the upcoming podcast. Bradley Sherwood, make sure to get your submission in for the upcoming Pirate King podcast. Basically, submissions are open right now. For those of you who don't know, Pirate King podcast is the monthly podcast that I do, where I take all submissions that people send me, and I answer everybody's questions, and it can be stuff about One Piece, not One Piece, movies, TV shows, animes, video games. I'm playing Bloodborne these days, so feel free to ask me about that. Just anything, basically, and I answer it in great detail. The podcasts usually go at least an hour, sometimes hour and a half plus, basically. If you want to join those, take a look at those. Many people say that that's the best content that I do, so if you want to check that out. And the podcast comes out once a month, and submissions are currently open. So submissions are open for the end of the month. Once that closes, then I'll be recording the podcast, and it'll come out next week. All right, everybody. The sound is bad? The sound is bad. What the hell? Why is the sound bad? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello? The sound should be good. What the hell's wrong with the sound? What do you mean the sound's bad? This is... Fuck. How is the... Hold on. I don't actually know why the sound would be bad right now. Testing. Hello. Can somebody... Sound is fine? Sound is fine? Okay. Sorry about that if sound was a little bit off initially. All right, we got a lot of people joining as members and repeat members, so give me 1 second here. And we got a pretty cool chapter. I think we're just getting used to the 13-page chapters at this point. Okay. All right, let's catch up. Retro Records, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 21 months, man. Hey, Morj, Emeth is now the strongest character confirmed. Actually damaged the Gorosei lol. Thanks for the awesome content. I'm surprised that... So... Emeth is a real... Okay, what Emeth just did is kind of insane, right? And that makes sense, especially if it's a member of Joy Boy's crew. I am pretty shocked that he was able to damage... I mean, that means that his punch is at least stronger than Luffy's Red Rock, right? In Gear 5th. It did break the tusk. I'm just surprised why Warcury's not regenerating. That's my big question mark. Does anyone have any ideas on that? JWP, thanks for the gifted memberships as always. Let's see who's getting lucky today. Ricky Servin, say thanks to JWP. Chris Morales, say thanks to JWP. JWP, thanks as always for Knut Worgen, thanks for joining the Pirate King tier. I hope you look forward to the podcast that's coming up and get your submissions in today. JWP, as always, thank you very, very, very much for your, everybody in the stream loves JWP because JWP always comes in clutch with these sort of things. So thank you so much, man. 1 second here. Let me just make this... All right, I think I'm currently caught up. All right, good shit, we're caught up. All right, everybody, let's get the stream lights up to 100 real quick, and let's talk about the chapter, because we got... Yusuf says Emeth sounds like a dork's name. I am somewhat inclined to agree with that. I think that Emeth is not the... Like, I just can't imagine myself ever being like Emeth. Like, maybe it's just because the... Why am I not liking the sound of Emeth? Can anyone tell me? Why don't I like the sound of Emeth? Emeth just doesn't sound... Like, I don't know. Why doesn't Emeth sound cool? Can anyone answer that? Flip says, don't we have to wait and see him regen first? Yeah. So whether or not he can regen is the question mark. It might take a moment to see if that happens. Because, I mean, we've seen Yeah, you're right. Because we've seen Saturn go flying from Kuma's punch. And he looks beat up for like a full chapter. And then he just regenerates after that. So sometimes it can take a while. The simple fact that Emeth was able to at least damage Warkiri, whereas Luffy couldn't even damage Warkiri, that's kind of insane. I'm sure if Luffy did a strong enough attack, then he could damage Warkiri. Like, Red Rock is nowhere near what he could do. Like, I'm sure that, a Bajrang gun can get the same effect. But, SK17A193_2, thanks for the 2. Make up for your tardiness by watching the S-Hawk scene. Hey, I'm happy to do that if the stream wants that. So I can throw a poll out. I'd like to talk about the chapter first, but I can end the stream by doing that as a makeup if people want to watch that. I don't know if people think that that's derailing or not. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 100. Yeah, Emeth just sounds like some guy. Corey Taylor says Emeth sounds like an old man name. Yeah, Aether says it sounds like just a guy. Caleb Brown says pronounced it with the hard E. It sounds better. Emeth? Yeah, I could get behind it. Also, though, I mean, just last chapter, I was joking about how, like, the giant robot got hyped up for quite some time and then just gets fucked up right away. Was it last chapter No, 2 chapters ago. Just gets fucked up right away. And this is more like, I don't know. Oda played us definitely right there. Because for a moment, I was just like, what the fuck was the point of that? All right, so Joyboy's crew must suck ass then, if that's the type of people he was dealing with. Although I still don't know if Emeth was originally a robot or if this is some sort of consciousness transposed into a robot's body. I'm not sure. I might do a poll for that real quick. Zane L, thanks for the 5, and thanks for your first super ever. Thank you very much. Give us a stream of how you beat the Gorosei, kill or seal away, since they're tough, no time limit, and you get a crew. If I get a crew, I'm probably going to be pretty cheap about it, because I'm just going to, not cheap about it, I'm just going to, like, get a bunch of fucking Yonko and shit like that. But that is a fun idea. I do really enjoy the defeating X group with prep time streams. Those are some of my favorite streams to do. Since they're tough, no time limit, and you get a crew. The Gorosei are tricky because my answer for all of them would pretty much be throw them into the sea. And if it turns out that they're not Devil Fruit users, then I kind of just lose. But I'm going to put that in the docket. I'm going to think about that. Because so far we've already done how I would beat the Straw Hats, how I would beat the Admirals, how I would beat the Yonko. Josue Olat22 says thoughts on the Lakers drafting Bronny. For those of you who don't know, I'm really not going to delve into basketball too much right here at all. But just in case you're interested, I believe this is the first time ever in any professional sport that a father and son are going to be playing as a duo professionally in that sport on the same team. I believe that might be the first time in any professional sport. I don't know for sure, but I imagine there's a good chance that that is the case. So LeBron James, greatest basketball player of today, some might argue greatest basketball player ever, he's about to be playing with his son, LeBron James Jr. They're both going to be playing on the Lakers next year, which is just, I think even if you don't care about basketball whatsoever, it is just a really, really cool thing to have happened, I don't know when we'll ever see this again, if ever. I mean, LeBron's 40 and his son's like 18, 19, My thoughts on it are basically I just think it's cool. It locks LeBron into staying in the Lakers for a while. I just think it's cool. I think I don't think Bronny will be good, but, it'll just be nice to see. It'll be fun to see for, like, the highlights, the sentimentality of it a little bit. If they won a championship next year, which is pretty much impossible, that would be, I think at that point, LeBron James is just the greatest player of all time, if that happens. But I doubt it'll happen personally. I would root for it, but the chances are very low. So I'm not putting any expectations on next season. I think everything LeBron does from here on is just gravy, Like, you want to play with your son in your twilight years? Great. Dick So Small, I piss on my balls, thanks for the 10. Kaku is going to pull his Sogeking. He's been called Usopp 3 times total now. He related to Stussy's conflict with purpose and friendship, and he came with a mask. Giraffe King incoming. But they already know his mask is the thing. Like, Sogeking, it only works because they can't tell the identity under the mask. I mean, anyone logical can, but Luffy and Chopper, the characters that Usopp wanted to fool, Luffy really got fooled. I feel like with Kaku, everybody will know it's him, I do think the Kaku Stussy storyline it's weird because it's kind of silly because it's like there's been so little writing for it that it's almost borderline ridiculous. It's just like, why is this scene even happening? these characters combined have had, well, Kaku has had maybe 10 lines of dialogue in the entire Egghead arc, and now I'm supposed to be like, oh my god, this his relationship with Stussy. It's like, whatever. But at the same time, I'm kind of rooting for it because I like Kaku. You know, I like Kaku, so I'm just like, it's hard to explain. I think the Kaku Stussy storyline is probably the epitome of example of Oda just wanting to write too much shit for, like, too many ideas to fit into his arcs nowadays, you know? Too many ideas, he wants to play with too many characters. It's almost like, listen, man, you've got some great shit going on over here. Like, let's just tighten, let's focus. Do we need 6 Vegapunks at the end of the day? I don't know. Like, the meat of the arc, the core juice of it, like Kuma's story, Gorosei coming to the island, Straw Hats versus them, etc., that's juicy. Where it gets messy is all this other random shit, I'm not going to go into it here, I guess, too much, but you guys kind of know what I mean. Like, when we read through chapters, it's just like, how much of it these days do we love? Like, what's the core meat of it? And then how much of it is, like, these giants talking about how they want to dance because Nika's here, and, like, there's just a lot. There's a lot going on right now, you know what I mean? And I think Kaku and Stussy, it's just like, this is valuable page time. You see, this is a 13-page chapter. And when 2 or 3 of those pages go to Kaku and Stussy, who have had pretty much no writing for their dynamic whatsoever throughout the arc, I'm just like, listen, man, I would have liked to see a bit more of, like, Zoro versus Venus Juro this chapter. Or I would have liked to see, you know, like, just a little bit more of some of the Gorosei action going on outside of that. Like, I don't know. Just something. I do think it's cool that Frankie's getting some more action, you know? Like, do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, I love Egghead so far. I think it's the peak of New World, like, post-time skip writing that Oda's had. But I think there's just moments where I feel like a lot of the same things that kind of have been minor recurring issues throughout a lot of the New World arcs, you can just feel them even in Egghead, where it's just like, we don't need each little, like, sometimes it's okay to not write in extra character storylines and just focus more on the meat of it, and no one will mind, basically, you know? Because these are 13 pages. These are 13 valuable pages. You can't just be throwing these pages around willy-nilly, you know? You gotta hold these pages tight and make each page count. But for Oda, it's just like, well, I just gotta make Kaku, like, I just gotta write this scene for Kaku, man. I'm like, I don't know. Anyway. Cigar Verk, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 21 months. I super chatted months ago that Robot will show Luffy how to damage Gorosei. Oh, shit. Yeah, you're right. Iffy kid. Robot talks like a kid can do this to Gorosei. Joy Boy must be crazy. So I still don't understand the Robot talking like a kid thing, but I don't know Japanese, so I'm just gonna have to take your word on that. I do believe I kind of remember you or someone making that point. So that is an amazing call. Everyone shouts to Cigar Verk for making that call. I don't know if this is necessarily showing Luffy how to damage the Gorosei, because we still don't know if the damage is going to stick. I don't think the Robot showed any special trick. I think he just threw a really fucking strong punch, which Luffy already knows how to do. But let's see what the consequences are next chapter, if this really was something that Luffy had an aha sort of moment with. Because if you remember, like, with Kaido, right? Luffy straight up didn't know how to use Advanced Conqueror's Haki for a while, and then eventually just figured it out by seeing Kaido's attacks enough, you know? Black Lightning, thanks for the 2. The name Emeth is a Christianity reference. I saw someone say that on Twitter, but I don't know enough about Christianity to really say anything about that. I could ask... No, never mind. K Maya, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 10 months. Morj, Emeth may be a reference to the Jewish legend of the Golem of Prague. Look it up. I do know about Golems of Prague because if anybody's read the Bartimaeus trilogy, anybody's read that, I think it's a phenomenal young adult trilogy. I think it's just too dense for it to have ever gotten popular for young adults. It's weird because it's like, it was my favorite fantasy series growing up, the Bartimaeus trilogy. Anyway, the second book is, I don't think it ever got popular because it was just really fucking dense to read. Like, if you compare reading that to, like, reading Harry Potter, Bartimaeus sequence was dense. Like, I think even some adults might find it dense, basically, but it was tailored for young adults, so it was like a weird combination. It didn't have a perfect niche, but it got low-key cult popular. Anyway, second book was all about the Golems of Prague and basically like in ancient war in Prague and how that spilled over into the modern day and shit like that. So that's interesting. I didn't know that that in itself is a reference to a Jewish legend. I will have to look it up. I do feel like I know a little bit about it because I read that book, but that book is a fantasy book for children. NewX7, thanks for the 5. Lord, you're more late than Kakashi. Emeth is the Hebrew for truth. Okay, everyone's filling me in on Emeth. So I'm getting a whole fucking Bible study education right here. Emeth, everyone listen up. Emeth is the Hebrew for the truth and the word to be used to bring golems to life. Okay. Also remember Wait, oh shit, so that makes so much sense because the giant represents that. The giant is essentially a giant iron golem whose name is Emeth because he comes to life. Yeah, it makes so much sense. I love that. Also remember controversial moment. Other controversial moment? I don't remember this. Justin Holland, thanks for the 5. Luffy once again reminds us why he's captain and emperor in feats and orders and strategy. Yeah, how do people feel about the combo attack? I like the combo attack. The combo attack was cool. I like that. I like the way that Oda's handling the Gorosei so far, in that there's no easy way to, like, he's having the crew handle them for the moment, but it's clear that there's no easy way to beat them, right? So it takes a combined team attack just to make one Gorosei go away for some period of time, right? But I like that Oda's able to... I feel like he's handling their threat level perfectly in the sense that they're not pushover. Like, they're extremely strong, but at the same time, it's not like you can just... it's not like they're unbeatable threat. I think they're the perfect level of threat right now, basically. Emeth is unusual name and shows Luffy its combat method. Emeth is unusual name and show... Okay, so you're thinking that there's something that it did specifically. So playing off what Cigarverk is saying. Yeah, I could see that. I think that would be really good. JWP, thanks for the 5. Luffy souls the Straw pretty easily in Gear 5. Just tanks Sanji's strongest attack. Zoro fans for weeks have been saying Zoro beats Gear 4th Luffy. Yeah, right, lol. Look... I just don't know, man. Luffy versus the Straw Hats. I'm going to do a poll. Let's do a quick poll on that. Luffy versus the Straw Hat crew. Luffy, Straw Hats. I think that's one of those where I just don't think... The tricky thing is, like, with the Straw Hats, we don't know how strong Bonney is. Luffy, Zoro, Jinbei, it's kind of like... How do I say this? I feel like if Kid and Law... No, but Kid and Law, they had to cheat to beat Big Mom. They couldn't even beat Big Mom straight up. I think the Straw Hats with teamwork factored in could take Luffy, and them knowing his weaknesses and such. Not weaknesses. I mean, Luffy. You could argue Luffy also knows their weaknesses, but I mean, you saw just how effective Usopp even was at fighting Luffy that one time. I don't know. People are saying Luffy takes all the Straw Hats. I just don't know if it's that simple, because it's just... I think the fact that... I don't know. Because I feel like, let's say you, just for fun, let's say we scale Luffy to Kaido or Big Mom, right? I think that if we scale Luffy to Kaido or Big Mom, I mean, I do think that all the Straw Hats together have a good shot. Like, at least Big Mom. I feel like all the Straw Hats together definitely beat Big Mom. I mean, even just Jinbei, Frankie, Robin, and that's it. Just Jinbei, Frankie, and Robin were able to handle Big Mom, at least for a moment, right? Like, you throw in Zoro, Sanji with all their power-ups and everything like that, and the other Straw Hat Crew's members. Like, Nami has Nami's ineffective against Luffy, essentially. I don't know. I just don't think... I think you're underestimating the whole Straw Hat crew, you know? I think you're underestimating the whole Straw Hat crew. I think if Zoro can scar Kaido, Zoro can scar Luffy, you know? I think if Sanji's in there, Jinbei's in there, Frankie's in there, like, they're all going to work together. They've got such a wide variety of abilities that I think that they would be able to take Luffy. That's my personal opinion. Maybe we do that as a stream topic at some point. Let me throw that in. I think that could be fun. That could be a fun thing to debate. We could do a great debate for that. Luffy did just tank Sanji's strongest attack. That is probably true. Was Sanji's eyebrow flipped? I forget. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. Kiara, thanks for the 50. Holy shit. And thank you for your first super ever. Thank you so much for your first super ever. 50 for your first super ever. That's amazing. I really appreciate that. Hey Morj, I'm finally able to watch one of your streams live. I watch your VODs during my work life, and you're actually the one who made me start reading the manga. Been loving your content. I'm morgful for your analytic videos. Finally joined Pirateer. Holy shit, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm glad you're able to watch. And I hope you enjoy the Pirate King podcast. Make sure you get your submission in, hopefully over the next few days before I record, and I will be recording it next week. But thank you for the 50. I really appreciated that, especially for your first super. Strawhead Shako, thanks for the 5. Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr. played together in MLB. Oh, shit. Even hit back-to-back home runs? I'm sorry, I guess I just didn't know any better. Also, thoughts on Warkiri essentially just jumping into the sea? Is that what he did at the end of the chapter? Let's see. Let me see this shit. Did he just jump into the sea? Is someone going to have to save him? Okay, hold on. Warkiri runs in. Oh, yeah, I figured that he's trying to run at the ship. I figure it's like a jump and he's running at the ship. But you're right. It doesn't seem like he has any sort of fear of water. Yeah, doesn't seem like he has any fear of water. That's interesting. I don't know what to make of that. That does give credence to the idea that maybe it's not a devil fruit ability. What do people think? Hold on. New poll. Is Warkiri... Do the Gorosei have devil fruits? Yes. No, because that is a really good point. I did not think about that. It's actually kind of crazy. We're leaning towards no for the Gorosei. That's exciting. Because the Gorosei they imitate the appearance of an awakened Zoan for sure, but it seems to be just appearance. Alright, so I'm mistaken. Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr., thank you for educating me, Strahd Shako. Even hit back-to-back home runs. That's kind of insane. But what era was this? Like the 1910s or something like that? That is kind of insane. I'm sorry. At least in basketball, it's never been done before. Caleb Brown, thanks for the 5. Seems like we're getting Joy Boy's OG crew slowly with Zunisha and now Emeth. How many crew members will we get, and were they always in those forms? So the forms thing is really interesting, and somebody commented something that I found really, really interesting, which is that, you know how in Dressrosa, many of the former significant figures of Dressrosa were turned into toys, and essentially forgotten or erased from history. Maybe we could be seeing something similar with Zunisha as the elephant, Emeth as the giant, things like that. I think that could be really, really fucking cool. I'm trying to think if there's any other examples of somebody that might fall into that category, but there's other characters I've thrown around as potentially being part of Joy Boy's crew. Like I think Toki could have been part of Joy Boy's crew. Lily, very possibly. It's hard to say, maybe an honorary member at the end like Vivi, although Lily did seem to fight against them in the final war, or in the Ancient Kingdom War, so Lily's a question mark. I have some theories on that, but I'm going to save that for later. Yokai Gota, thanks for the 5. I'd be mad if the Kaku Stussy stuff took up whole chapters, but it's subtle, so it's okay to me. Same reason why I didn't hate the Ice Oni. Nice shave, BTW. Thank you. I had to get rid of this beard because I'm going on a mini vacation this weekend. Very, very small vacation. Basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to be at the beach, so figured it's time to shave up a little bit. But thank you very much. Beard was getting to be a bit much. And I get what you're saying with the Kaku Stussy stuff taking up whole chapters, but to me, it's like this stuff is additive, right? So it's not just this one moment, but I can look through many, like, the entirety of Egghead, the entirety of certain arcs, like Wano, etc., and basically the bigger thing, and if I compare it to early storylines, the bigger thing is earlier storylines were generally more focused. Fewer characters, more story time devoted exclusively to a 2-3 plot lines really, really playing out, or 2-3 character pieces that are really being focused on over the course of arcs, right? I feel like that gives more depth to storytelling. You're not really skipping beats. You're getting to spend more time. That's just naturally going to be more substantive, right? When you start doing more, this just takes a couple pages here, a couple pages there, but it adds up over the course of the arc to slowly make for a more diluted storyline where it's quantity over quality, and I don't think that is I generally don't think that's good. I mean, like, you can literally look at what's the best piece of storytelling we've had in One Piece recently. It's Kuma's backstory, right? Why? Because Kuma's backstory, that's a section of the story where Oda can cut away all the noise and just focus on a singular character, Kuma, and his story from start to finish, right? That is when, not even just Oda, that is when any writer's at their best, when you have, like, you're not focusing on quantity and covering like a shit ton of characters, when you're focusing on one thing at a time, because that's when you get the most in-depth writing experience, storytelling experience, right? So just the fact that like Kuma's backstory, like yeah, it covered other characters throughout it, but the individual focus from start to finish for a good 10 chapters was just Kuma, right? That's the most emotional, like profound storytelling we're gonna get. I really think that there's like at a certain point you're getting diminishing returns with doing stuff like, hey, I want to do something with Kaku in this storyline too. Like, did Kaku need to be in this storyline? No. Is he gonna maybe get like a nice cutesy little storyline by the end of it? Sure. But when you're applying that logic to characters over and over and over again, like, sure, we can throw Kaku in here, sure, we can throw these, like, once you start doing that too much, then essentially there's fewer concentrated storylines or character storylines that are getting the majority of attention because things are spread up so much. Again, 13-page chapter, if a couple pages of it are going to Kaku and Stussy, that's like a good chunk of the chapter. And you might be like, well, that's not happening every chapter. And it's like, true, we're not talking about Kaku and Stussy every chapter, but every chapter there's something else. There's something new. If it's not that, it's something else, right? I think Egghead has generally been better at it than like, say, a Wano arc or something like that, or even like a Dressrosa. I think Egghead has had some of the best character writing in all of One Piece, period. Again, Kuma's is probably the pinnacle of that, right? But again, Kuma's was largely through backstory focus, right? And then even the chapters that we got back from the backstory, it was Kuma-centric chapters with Saturn abusing Bonney, Kuma coming back, Kuma delivering the punch, etc. So kind of playing off the strong Kuma focus that we had from start to finish. I just think that generally speaking, One Piece and any manga is at its best when it's being selective about what should or shouldn't, like what the true meat of the story is and what other peripheral parts make sense to be throwing in there, basically. That's just my opinion. Anyway, some little Mexican, thanks to the 5. Our glorious kings, Gaimon and Katakuri, finally make the return. What role did the Big Mom Pirates have during the final saga? I don't know if they have any major role. I don't know. I think that they could easily add to the giant fleet fighting the world government and everything at the end. I think that could be a great little role for them. But I don't know if it's going to be major in the sense that, yeah, Katakuri is going to become a Yonko or something like that, like some people believed at some point. And, Katakuri is going to get some major fight or something. I just think that they could be on the Straw Hat's side at the end of all things. Bonfagam, thanks for the 7. Morj, I thought Sanji's dialogue gave everything away. He essentially gave Bonney a rundown of how a Nakama should behave. The writing is on the wall. Oh, I definitely think that Bonnie's going to be a crewmate. Like, definitely. I think that's... I mean, I put out a video talking about that, like, way long ago. I said Bonnie's practically guaranteed to become a Straw Hat. Thomas Davis, thanks for being a Yonko to your member for 14 months, man. Hey, Morj, I don't feel one way or another about the Bonney stuff, but it turned out to be not that big a deal in the long run. Yeah, I don't think... In retrospect, I think that a lot of us were jumping the gun last week, but it's just the nature of week-to-week storytelling, We've only got the 13 pages we've got to work with, right? Like, this chapter, one of the first comments I was reading this stream was like, seems like Emeth is like one of the strongest characters ever, and it's like, maybe next week it's not that big of a deal. Fatingo, thanks for the 2. Frankie having Haki is vague. Is it Bonney and Sanji? I'm going to go with the assumption that Frankie doesn't have Haki. Sanji's saying that, yeah, we're hurting them. Or, like, yeah, we're hurting them with Haki and everything like that. But that doesn't mean all 3 of them. Like, Frankie's adding force to the blow, right? But I don't imagine Frankie having Haki because it was established back in Punk Hazard that only Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji have Haki, right? That was established back in Punk Hazard, that only the 3 of them have Haki. Frankie actually would have had no method of learning Haki because he was not in a place... He was on fucking... Vegapunk's island working on technology, right? There was no teacher for, like, nobody could have taught him Haki during that period of time, right? It's established in Punk Hazard Frankie does not have Haki, and the only way for him to have gotten Haki since then is an armament Haki bloom. I really doubt Oda would have just said, like, Frankie got armament Haki off screen, because if you remember, the only time we've seen, like, one of the non-monster trio Straw Hats get a Haki bloom in One Piece and awaken Haki was Usopp and Dressrosa, and that was a big deal. Like, Oda made a huge, huge moment out of that. That's actually one of my personal favorite moments in all of Dressrosa, the moment where Usopp unlocks Color of Observation. I can't imagine Oda being like, okay, Haki, like, awakening Haki for any of the Straw Hats is a huge deal, and then just being like, okay, well, Frankie just learned it at some point off screen. Like, what? Did he have it during Wano? Did he use it against Sasaki? When did he get Haki? You know, how did he get it? Was it awakening? If so, which battle did it bloom in, etc. Goomba Boomba, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for. Oh shit, let me close this. Thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 21 months, man. Most overlooked part of the chapter, Vegapunk's speech is not over. We might actually see a shift in public perception on the world government. I owe Oda an apology if that is the case, because I spoke way too prematurely when I ranted about how Vegapunk's speech didn't communicate the most fucking important shit, right? So it seems as though there's just a fucking tricky middle section that Oda doesn't want us to hear, like his message, Vegapunk's message to the D-Tribe and everything like that, this last little bit, but we're gonna get the rest of the message, it looks like, or at least the juicy part, hopefully, where they get upset at the world government. King G, thanks for the 5. Sanji's a bum, strongest attack, Ifrit Jambe, held memories, brows flipped, did nothing to Luffy, lol, rooftop Zoro clears. You also have to remember, okay, well, rooftop Zoro, again, like, I personally, my view is always going to be that, rooftop Zoro with Ashura is still, like, I think the moment that Zoro used Ashura to scar Kaido is still, like, to deflect a Yonko's attack and scar him, that is still the single most impressive thing Zoro's ever done. To me, it's a clear use of Advanced Conqueror's Haki. I think everything in the text basically makes that very clear. And I still think Ashura Zoro is the strongest version of Zoro, right? So I kind of put Ashura Zoro above King of Hell Zoro, right? I think there's a reason that Oda did not show Zoro using Ashura against King, because I think that is basically the peak of Zoro's power, and it's not something that he even can use on a whim when he feels like it, right? So the King fight was more so like, no, Zoro needs to learn to consciously be using Conqueror's Haki, right? And hopefully after mastering this step, then Zoro will be able to use Ashura more regularly in the future. That's my kind of assumption, but we kind of need to see the way that Ashura plays out in the future, right? So to me, when you say, like, rooftop Zoro is above Sanji, I'm like, well, yeah, but I also think Ashura Zoro is, like, fucking nuts. Like, if you just look at what Ashura Zoro did when Zoro had every bone in his body broken, it's the most impressive Zoro's ever been, right? That is Zoro's most impressive moment. It's not beating King, it's scarring Kaido, right? That's objectively a bigger deal. Scarring Kaido is objectively a bigger deal than beating a first mate, right? So I just don't even know what people mean by rooftop Zoro. Are you saying, like, minus Ashura? No, minus Ashura, I still think Sanji beats Zoro. You're saying with Ashura, well, that's Zoro's peak. Ashura Zoro, in that moment, he's, like, the feat that he did is a Yonko level feat, right? That's objectively a Yonko level feat, what Zoro did right there. So Ashura Zoro is its own category till we get to see him fight again. But yeah, I disagree with people shitting on Sanji for this, because the attack did do damage to Luffy, you know? It did do significant damage to Luffy. It's not going to fucking knock him out. Why is it supposed to knock him out? Like, you think... I don't think anybody ever thought that, like, is Sanji supposed to one-shot Luffy? I don't understand. Like, is he supposed to use one move and that's supposed to knock out Luffy? What does that mean? Cigar Verk, thanks for the 5. Reaching, but seems like Gorosei powers are alchemy, and metal can be one of the weaknesses, and Luffy might finally get a pipe or spear like Nika to damage them. I think that's a bit of reach, personally. I don't know if I agree with that. How does this even become a Zoro versus Sanji thing, says Taquan Nayuta? It's all roads lead back to the same dialogues. All roads lead back to the same debates. They just do. All right, give me a second here. Okay, catching up. 2K17A193_2. Please change your name. Thank you for the 2. I'll watch your VOD after the debate. Bye. All right. Thanks. Thanks, man. Dick so small, piss on Devon. Thanks for the 10. I think Caribou was lying to Devon and Augur to escape the Buster call. It's super sus that he says, I have info, and risks them saying no instead of just saying, I know about ancient weapons to lock in a yes. I think that's more so just Oda's writing style, which is just like being a little mysterious with things sometimes. I mean, we the reader know it's ancient weapon stuff, but I think that just in the moment sometimes Oda thinks it's juicier for him to be like, I have info, rather than be blatant, I have info about the ancient weapons, because then it I don't know, it obscures kind of maybe even how much Karaba's going to share with them, things like that. I don't know. It's also just a little bit more juicier dialogue to be like to be less specific, like I know about the ancient weapons or something like that, but be like I have info to share with you all, and then leave that as a cliffhanger, right? Black Lightning, thanks for the 5. To be fair, Sanji has no advanced Haki so far, so it'd be weird if he could badly hurt Luffy. Find it weird both Luffy and Zoro have them, but not him. Well, the thing is that like with Sanji, it's his the idea is that his just straight up physical body structure is so fucking strong that I think it makes up for that, not having advanced Haki to some degree. And then fire is also a big part of it, right? So there's an elemental component to what Sanji's doing. So, yeah, maybe Sanji could stand to work on attack power to some degree, but, speed's always been more so his thing, and then he has the elemental aspect that Luffy and Zoro don't, which is fire. So, it clearly hurt Luffy. I don't think Sanji's supposed to one-shot Luffy. I don't think Zoro can one-shot Luffy, I don't think there's most any character nowadays that can one-shot Luffy. I think it's just going to be a bad hit, and then, you take it, and you run. Zane L, thanks for the 2. Let's not forget that that's Luffy's most tanky form right now. Yeah, I don't know. We can debate. I mean, Luffy was, in a big balloon form, so if that's his most tanky form, I guess you could make that argument. Mr. MMF2, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 21 months. Hey, Morj, how do you come up with the idea for your next video so fast after the chapters drop? What's your secret? Also, couple of chapters. I think the chapters have just been short because Oda's getting out a lot of information, right? The idea for the next video is, for those of you, I think I've started basically being somewhat clear about this, which is nowadays with the way that One Piece shit works, what do you call? Well, what do you mean the idea for the next video? Because my videos come out next Tuesday. The chapters comes out this morning. So it's more like this is Thursday is generally, this is my most intensive day usually of the week when it comes to One Piece stuff, which is basically writing, video topic, writing, and then usually I'm deciding the thumbnail with my editor as well, because that's very important. I usually don't put out a video unless we figured out the thumbnail basically for it. So all of that comes together, and then Fridays largely the image annotation stuff, figuring out what the video is going to be filled figuring out what the editing is going to be like, stuff like that. And then Monday, Tuesday is basically polishing the video, etc. before it comes out Tuesday. Tuesday video goes out, and Tuesday is also usually the day I'm handling sponsor stuff and everything like that, business side of things. So there's just a certain sort of flow to a whole week, if that makes sense. But Thursday set aside is basically being video writing and video planning and everything like that. And usually I don't finish Thursday, so it spills over into Friday and everything like that. But topic I can figure out. And lots of times there's spoilers. Spoilers are a thing. So if I don't have a video topic ready, then at this point I've stopped avoiding being spoiled. So I will often see spoilers Wednesday and kind of know roughly what's coming in the chapter, not detailed, etc. But I knew that Emeth was going to do something at the end of this chapter, if that makes sense. Juno Alabachi says Zoro also delayed 2 Yonko attacks. Sanji would have folded immediately to it, but I don't think that Sanji's that's not Sanji's strength either. You know what I mean? That's not. I mean, his strength is literally not in that category, because Law couldn't delay 2 Yonko. Law couldn't delay that Kaido and Big Mom attack either, right? Law has other strengths. Zoro was the only one there who could do that, because that's kind of Zoro's thing. So that's not the only metric of a character being capable. Wrench Dodger 2000 says Luffy greater than Zoro greater than Sanji. It's always been like this. Yeah, I just think it's weird because this isn't even a bad moment for Sanji. It's not even a bad moment for Sanji. It's a moment of him doing stuff and him helping take out a Gorosei. But I guess you can spin it as basically this is how Sanji can't one-shot Luffy. Of course he's not going to one-shot Luffy, NeoX7, thanks for the 10. Sorry, autocorrect. I remember another controversial moment that wasn't included last stream. Oh, shit. For those of you who don't know, last stream was the most controversial moments in One Piece. Otama's fruit being akin to slavery, but it's okay because they like being enslaved by Tama. I think because it's bad guys, nobody really gives a shit. You know, like, it's basically converting them to good. And that's one of the things where it's like, I think Oda didn't philosophically think deeply about that concept. It was just like, what if we could turn these bad guys good? Automatically. And it's like, well, that's a win-win for everybody, right? I don't think it's as damning as like the Hiyori moment, you know? I think you could argue that that was a controversial moment, but it's something that's so seldom talked about by readers that I just don't know how much it matters in the grand scheme of things. Stormfox, thanks for the 2. Sanji's always been a combo fighter, not one big move. Yeah, even his finishing move against Queen, it's a multitude of attacks. Sanji against Absalom, multitude of attacks. Yeah, he's had some moments where he finishes in one, or like Sanji against Kirubi, multitude of attacks, right? Sometimes he finishes with one big kick, like against Mr. 2. And I guess against Jabra, but I think generally speaking, he's more speed and fast strikes, right? That sort of add up. You know, okay, there's one moment in the story, a singular moment in the story that I think stands out pretty, like it stood out to me quite a bit, where it seemed as though where Sanji actually outshone Zoro to some degree in terms of straight physical, not strength, but like, yeah, just straight up, like, it's pre-time skip. I wonder if you guys can recall this. It's not physical. It perfectly illustrates what we're talking about here. Where Sanji attack was somewhat more, I guess, offensively impressive than even Zoro. And it's only happened once, but it fits Sanji's fighting style. You guys remember this? See if you guys can remember what I'm talking about. It's pre-time skip. It was a significant fight. I'll just say that. If anyone can remember this. Anyone can remember this. Anyone can remember what I'm talking about. I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds. Ryuichi says Jabra was multiple hits. It was, I mean, I think it's 2 hits, you know, and really it seemed like the second one was the one that did him in. Tala gets it. Yes, Thriller Bark, Sanji deflects Oars. Thriller Bark. So, in Thriller Bark, there was a really big moment where Oars throws a punch, and Zoro wants to test out his new sword, Shisui. So, he actually physically blocks the punch, the Gomu Gomu pistol from Oars, and, like deflects it to some degree, and launches the 108-pound cannon, right? And that was a huge deal in the moment. Like, all the Strats are freaking out, like, holy shit, Zoro blocked Oars' punch, which seems like physically an insane thing to do, right? Blocking the pistol. And then a little bit after that, Oars goes for a bazooka, which is, as we all know, that's a significantly strong, or it's at least a clearly stronger attack than just a pistol, right? Bazooka is often, at least pre-time skip, was one of Luffy's big finishers. Luffy's bazooka in general has been one of his big finishers. So Oars goes for a bazooka, and then Sanji actually comes in and deflects the entire bazooka attack with a Diable Jambe move. Notably, the Diable Jambe move was actually 3 kicks. Like, he did 3 fast kicks, basically, and then separated the bazooka. And that was a rare case where Sanji just, like, in general, across the course of the series, don't get mad, Zoro fans, in general, across the course of the series, Zoro's attack power just higher than Sanji's, right? This was a rare case where just clearly 1-to-1, what Sanji did was more impressive than what Zoro did in terms of just direct physical force. Like, Zoro deflected the pistol, but Sanji deflected the bazooka, which is just clearly a more impressive attack, like a stronger attack from Oars. That's like a full-on finisher move, 2-handed attack from Oars, and Sanji deflected it. So that's like but it goes to what we're already talking about in terms of Sanji's fighting style, which is Sanji's not going to be able to do that with just one kick. Like Zoro does that, like Zoro deflected the pistol with just one swing of his swords. Sanji's not going to do that with one kick. He's more, combo attacks, right? So I believe it was 3 kicks that he did in rapid succession, which together separated Oars' bazooka attack. So it's just a difference in fighting styles. Obviously, I think Zoro is stronger than Sanji. But I also want to note that, like, you can't really, the comparison is not fair if you're comparing, like, one of Zoro's attacks to one of Sanji's attacks because they just fight differently. Sanji's going to throw out a lot more attacks than Zoro, Tofi 2000, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 19 months, man. I hope you're looking forward to the Pirate King podcast coming out. I hope you have time to get your submission in over the next few days. Looking good, Morj. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Nothing special to say about the chapter other than I think it's soft confirmed that the Gorosei do have some kind of invulnerability, similar to Luffy against bludgeoning damage. I don't know, because are you talking about the regeneration or just Warkiri's physical durability? Because Warkiri's physical durability is just something different, right? What we've seen outside of that is the others need to regenerate, right? The others actually take damage. They're kind of fragile. Like, if you look at it, Saturn fucking got wrecked by one punch from Kuma. I don't even know if that used Haki or anything like that. I don't remember. Like, Jupiter easily gets his head cut off right away by Dorian Broggy. Warkiri's tough. Venus Juro coughing up blood from like one kick from Sanji without even using Ifrit Janbei or like I think Sanji's eyebrow. I don't remember if it was flipped or anything like that. So the others are kind of fragile in terms of their physical toughness. Warkiri's the really, really tough one. Warkiri's the really, really physically tough one, and then on top of that, he also has the regeneration. But I think Warkiri's the only one that has some level of physical invulnerability, and then the rest just have regeneration, which I put in a different category. I don't think it's just against bludgeoning damage, though. Anthony Rogers, thanks for the 5. Morj, ignoring Zoro, who already has weapons, what kind of weapons would he give the other Straw Hats? Ooh, that's interesting. I think Luffy would just have to give straight up, like, some brass knuckles or something. Luffy's just a punch-based fighter. He's not good at learning new skills. Like, anything that involves skills... that's not Luffy's thing. Sanji, I would give knives, because Sanji is actually extremely proficient with knives. However, if you were to say that Sanji just wouldn't use the knives because he'd refuse, then, I mean, it's like, well, I don't fucking know. Then we just got to give him, like, some new shoes or some shit, like steel-toed shoes. But even that doesn't matter, because, like, Haki's going to be better than that. Same with Luffy's brass knuckles, really. It's just, for them, if they're not using, like, if Sanji refuses to use the knives, then there's nothing really that works for him. Usopp, they're covered with their weapons. Frankie, I would give like a missile launcher, rocket launcher. No, I think Frankie also like brass knuckles. I don't know. Robin can't clone her weapons, so weapons are kind of useless for her. Maybe some sort of poison thing, like a poison knife in case like poison knife. I don't know. Fuck. Chopper, some sort of giant Oni-style club that he could use in Monster Point form. Brooks got a weapon. Yeah, I don't know. I think most of the Straw Hats are suited to what they have now, and if they need to have a weapon, they've already got it, kind of. So it's tricky, but it's an interesting question. 1 second here. Wait, Sid P, thanks for the 5. I've never seen a guy who gambled his entire career on the raid will fail theory, then having lost everything. Ha ha ha, Lorge. I don't really know what to say to that, but you guys know the channel is more successful now than it was before the raid. I think that at the very least, me talking about the raid failing so much during that section of time, I think there was a segment of viewers that stayed away from the channel during that period of time because they just didn't want to hear about that. But the channel has grown since then and is more successful than it was during the period. I'd say like the last year of the Wano arc going on was like, it was a more up and down period of time for the channel, largely because of the raid thing. But that's because I believed in it so much that I wasn't going to really change my content to go against that, because I genuinely believed that I was like, I'm holding out hope for this arc. I hope this arc does not end like this without any sort of, midpoint, narrative structure, no moment of tension, etc. Basically, I just wanted more out of the story for that, and I strongly believe that we're going to get that. But I understand that during that final section of the Wano arc, that turned some people the wrong way, but, for better or worse, whatever happened, but at this point, the channel is more successful than it was during the raid fail time. So, take that as you will. New X7, thanks for the 20. Morj, I recommend Kindaichi Case Files, detective show of 90s about the grandson of Kindaichi Kosuke. Wait, what? Morj, I recommend Kindaichi Case Files. Okay. Detective show of the 90s about the grandson of Kindaichi Kosuke. Japan's Sherlock Holmes. Okay, cool. Unmasking serial killers. Bad news, the MC's voice actor is the same as Laffy's, who passed on today. Wait, what? Laffy's voice actor died today? I'm sorry, I did not know that. Holy shit. Thanks for the recommendation. I don't know about that, but holy shit, Laffy's voice actor passed away today. Detective Show of the Night. I don't know if I'm ever gonna watch this, just because I've got such a long list of like other things to watch and other anime and stuff like that. But I'm sorry to hear about Laffy. I did not know that. Interesting. Missing one. Okay, last one. Stormfox, thanks for the 2. Thoughts on Workery jumping into the water? Again, so I kind of saw that as just Workery running really aggressively at the ship. Maybe Oda misdrew how he depicted the jump a little bit, but what do you call? I feel like Workery was just going straight at the ship, although it could be a bit of a hint. I think it depends. Did Workery fall into the water after this or not? Because we're basically going to find out after this. Like, it seems like he's in water after this, right? So we're going to kind of find out whether the Gorosei have like general abilities or like non-Devil Fruit abilities or Devil Fruit abilities after this, basically. So that's going to be a pretty big deal. Like a pretty big deal. Phantom. Yeah, Lafitte. I don't know. Yusuf says, I feel like the elders have been underwhelming this arc. Okay, so here's the thing with the elders. The elders are in a tricky spot because Oda can't have them win this arc, right? He can't have them win this arc, but at the same time, he needs to establish them as... It's a tricky scenario because, like, I feel like Oda's having to play things down a very difficult line this arc because several things need to happen, right? It's not supposed to be an arc of defeat for the Straw Hats, right? It's supposed to be an arc of like the Straw Hats kind of spitting in the face of the world government and getting away with it, right? It should feel triumphant in a sense, right? Especially with the Bonney storyline, Nika being shown to the outside world, like the Giants, Bonney, Kuma, everybody, like Nika's message starting to spread and everything. It's supposed to feel triumphant and defiant. That's the idea. At the same time, this is the arc that Oda needs to establish the Gorosei as threats, right? Endgame threats that likely several of them will be Straw Hat opponents, right? So he needs to build up how strong they are. These two things are difficult to do simultaneously. If we look at a simple example, right? How did Oda establish CP9 as threats? CP9 kicked the Straw Hats' asses at Water 7, right? Then, later on, Straw Hats rally, get their shit together, go to Enies Lobby, and beat them. But the threat had been established from Water 7, right? You can't really do anything like that with the Gorosei here, because if the Gorosei kick the Straw Hats' asses, then it's like, that defeats the whole purpose of what Oda's trying to get at with this arc. This arc's supposed to feel triumphant, feel like, yeah, the Straw Hats, the Yonko crew, they got away with it. Luffy's reawakened Nika. He's going to be a problem for the world government. They can't really stop him. At the same time, Oda can't have Luffy and the Straw Hats beat the Gorosei because they need to remain these threats down the line and they need to seem formidable. So, usually, like, he can't do the traditional, like, hype up the villains by having them beat the heroes because it ruins the purpose of the arc, but he can't have the heroes beat the villains because it negates the threat of the villains down the line. So what we're getting is this sort of middle ground where it's weird in the sense that he's kind of like having the Gorosei... How do I explain this? Like, he'll have certain Gorosei, like Jupiter or Saturn, like, he'll throw those... Like, he'll have those kind of be waxed pretty easily, right? Like, Saturn gets knocked around by everybody, right? Not really a problem. Jupiter, it seems like Dorian Broggy, they cut his head off right off the bat. Luffy's been able to handle Jupiter fairly regularly each encounter, right? And then with Venus Juro, what Oda did is, like, he set him off to the side. He's like, okay, Venus Juro's just handling off the Pacifista and stuff, right? And then finally, once Venus Juro is actually facing some characters, Oda has Zoro come in and kind of stall Venus Juro, right? Mars, he was doing his own thing, looking for the Den Mushi for so long. So, like, kind of keep Mars out of the fray, just make Mars seem intimidating. And then it's like, okay, now you have this awkward scenario. It's like, okay, Mars is here. How do we deal with Mars? Well, we can't just outright beat him because that ruins Mars. So what if it's like a big team attack? And what if it does no damage, but it removes him from the scenario? Like, Oda's just having to play this line. Like, how much... Like, how do you portray the Gorosei as really threatening, but while still having the Straw Hat get theirs against them, right? So in some cases, he's just having the Gorosei be occupied with other things. Like right now, Workery's going after the robot and shit like that. Workery's doing other shit. Like Luffy's like, where'd the boar go? The boar left. Like, or Mars going after the Den and Mushi, Venus Jura taking care of Pacifista. Either have them do other things. Some of the weaker ones, you kind of have the Strahts fuck them up and stuff like that. Like Jupiter, Saturn, etc. And then the times that you're actually having like Luffy fight Workery or Luffy fight Mars and stuff, like doing this awkward middle ground where it's like, you know, Luffy's still laughing and having fun facing Workery, but he can't really do anything against him. They're able to dispose of Mars with a big team attack, but the tone of it feels as though they're kind of having a good time doing it. So it's weird, because the tone that is trying to be achieved here is just very, very unique and difficult to kind of put your thumb on exactly what it's supposed to be, if that makes sense. To put it simply, a lot of what's happening right now with the Gorosei, if Oda, it could be the exact same sequence of events, exact same interactions, exact same feats. And if Oda just shifted the tone or the atmosphere a little bit, we would be like, oh shit, the Gorosei are fucking unstoppable. So for example, when Luffy's punching Workery and nothing's happening, right? Oda's still having Luffy laugh and have a good time during those scenes and be like, ha ha, it's not working. And like his hands throbbing and the giants are laughing at him and stuff like that. If instead you shift it to kind of like the tone that Luffy had when he was facing Kaido the first time, and Luffy couldn't damage Kaido, and Luffy's just very serious, and he's frustrated and upset, and he's like, I can't fight Workery, right? When Luffy's running away, like, the Giants and Luffy are running away, and they're like, haha, we can't do anything about this boar. If instead you switch that to more like, fuck, we can't do anything about this boar, we just have to run. It's the same stuff happening, but the tone shifts how you're viewing it, right? Same thing with Workery. If instead the characters were expressing like, oh shit, how do we stop Workery and everything, and Luffy's like, guys, we can't damage him. There's no way to damage him. Our only hope is to try and send him away, right? The tone shifts quite a bit right there. Characters aren't laughing. They're still doing the same thing, but then it feels more like, okay, it took a lot to get rid of Mars versus right now it feels more like, you know, they were able to get rid of Mars without, you know, just like the power of friendship, like a good old-fashioned, like, big team hug, power of friendship, basically. Just how the characters' emotion, the tone and atmosphere and how the characters' emotions are coming through are defining a lot of what we view the Gorosei as, basically. And I do wonder if, like, right now Oda's hitting the mark well in terms of making it feel triumphant for the Straw Hats. It's probably a little bit at the expense of the portrayal of the Gorosei, but at the same time, Oda's not really making the Gorosei have bad feats, if that makes sense. Like, everything Workery's done so far, and the fact that Luffy, Dory, and Brogy together, just after, like, a 3-on-1, they just have to run away, they can't actually stop him, that's a really fucking big deal. It just doesn't feel like as big a deal, because Oda's keeping everything very upbeat, if that makes sense. So tone makes a big difference. That's something I talked a lot about, like, during the fucking raid. And the general raid will fail vibe, which is like, well, the tone here seems really fucking casual and optimistic for a big serious war, you know? NewX7, thanks for the 5. Morj, pay no attention to Sid P. Bum had to donate money just to hate. You so successful, you unknowingly got haters giving you money just to hate. Look, I'll take the 5 at the end of the day. It's not a big deal. I don't want to ban him or anything like that. It's just, you know, it's not a big deal. People will come in, they'll say what they want to say. I think if things ever get really excessive, then, you know, that's when we start talking about banning and stuff. But I think I've always had a point of pride on my streams. Like, I don't really, like, you're free to say what you want to say, as long as it's not like being racist and stuff like that to people in chat, or like, the isms that you're not allowed to do. As long as we're not doing that stuff in chat, it's like whatever, you know. I like that the chat feels very free flowing. I also don't think that it's, you know, it's not good to silo or echo chamber yourself too much, where you're cutting out everybody that annoys you to some mild degree, you know? I don't know who AN is, but they're probably spamming a little bit. I'll just say that. Spam is also not good. I'll just say that. Azane L, thanks for the 2. Luffy is shedding light on a pretty dark situation. Luffy is shedding light on a pretty dark situation. Yeah, like it's you know, if Luffy wasn't here and he wasn't bringing the tone that he's bringing, then it would be a very, you know, it would be a very dark. The Gorosei would probably change the atmosphere quite a bit. Like, there's many moments when the Gorosei first appeared, or when the Gorosei were all surrounding the Iron Giant before attacking him a couple chapters back. The Gorosei can bring a very, very dark feel to the arc, like a very dark, menacing feel to the arc. It's just that that's largely negated by Luffy's, you know, Nika vibe and everything like that. And that is what Oda's going for here, so it works. I do hope that at some point we do get heavier storytelling again, where Luffy turning into Nika doesn't just negate the sense of, you know, seriousness and tension to certain situations. But I feel like this arc, it's supposed to be built in that manner, where it's supposed to be a sort of victory lap for the Straw Hats after becoming Yonko, you know, stuff like that. Shitting, like, the Straw Hats defying the world government, getting away with it, things like that, you know? Esteban BR says, a lot of people are saying that Gear 5 takes away from tension since Luffy always laughs. I mean, yeah, that's objectively true, because the tone is set by the way the characters are feeling, how they're expressing themselves, etc. Like, it's not even just like Luffy laughing, it's infectious, right? So Luffy's laughing, which gets Dorian Broggy laughing and in a good mood. Like, everybody's pretty cheery, like the fucking giants are laughing and stuff like that. Tone is set by how serious, how uncertain characters are in a given situation, right? That's where suspense, tension comes from. Gear 5 does negate that. My view, I think, is still, especially because we got to see Gear 5 a bit more serious a little bit earlier in the arc, like when Luffy was taking on Saturn and Kizaru. My view, I've kind of adjusted it to, okay, I'm just gonna wait and see. Like, if we're at a point where Luffy's fighting if Blackbeard's gonna kill one of Luffy's crewmates, like if we get to some really dire scenarios or something like that against really personal opponents, and then Gear 5 is hurting the tension, that's when I'm gonna have some thoughts on it again, and I would probably really dislike that in the story. But for the moment, I'm like, you know what? For this arc, maybe Gear 5 is just like, we're supposed to feel joy, positivity, etc. when Gear 5 is kind of doing its thing. Especially in the wake of, like, the sadness of Kuma's backstory, Bonney's story, stuff like that. So maybe right here it works, but I think, you know, if Luffy's still treating it as fun and games and gags and stuff when it's like Blackbeard or Akainu, then I would probably, I mean, we have to see how it plays out. You know, it's hard to speculate when it hasn't happened yet, but if that stuff's happening, then I would probably enjoy it a lot less personally. Ender Anami says, if the characters don't seem to be taking it seriously, then why should the readers, lol? Yeah, I mean, that's literally it. That's what tone is. Tone is established by characters, the way you draw the characters reacting, etc. Like, if you have characters who are laughing, having a good time, etc., then objectively the tone is not serious because the author is not trying to portray the characters as taking it serious, you know? Like, tone isn't just like a magical thing where it's like, Luffy's fighting a Gorosei, that means the tone is serious. No, the tone, like, that's just the event that's happening. How it's, like, the tone that's being established is through the character itself, how the character is being made to feel, the type of atmosphere that's coming about, the emotions being expressed, right? And that's kind of what I was talking about, how, like, with everything the Gorosei are doing, it is actually really, really impressive and intimidating and scary. It's just because the tone has been lighter in terms of, like, how Luffy's approached them and his interactions with them, they don't feel as intimidating as maybe they could be. That's basically it. JWP, thanks for the 5. Week to week is hilarious. Bonney was potentially Admiral level last week. Also, do you think Bonney is Haki? Would be insane for a 12-year-old. That's the crazy thing, because I think Bonney does have Haki. Because, one, it's not the craziest thing, because, like, you know, Ace had Haki at her age. Like, fucking Big Mom, I think, did. Doflamingo did. I don't know. They weren't using armament Haki, etc., but they had Awakened Conquerors. However, with Bonney, it looks like Haki's being used, especially because Luffy says you guys are using Haki. So at least 2 of the characters have to be using Haki. Bonnie's fist is dark. At least 2 of the characters have to be using Haki, so it's just like, it's Sanji and Bonney, right? Because it's canon that Frankie's not a Haki user. At least that was established in Punk Hazard. And I think Luffy's speaking directly to Bonney, where he's like, you guys are using, like, she's asking, it hurts, and Luffy's saying directly to her, like, yeah, you guys are using Haki. You know? Yeah, I mean, Bonney used Haki, right? I think that was one of the things that kind of threw me because my thought was kind of like, so if we're coming out for last week I was kind of like, okay, this isn't the biggest deal in the world that Bonney can go into Nika mode because, how do I say this? Because Bonney in Nika mode can imitate all of Luffy. I assume that Bonney could imitate Luffy's Nika abilities, but not Haki because Devil Fruits and Haki, those are kind of two different categories, right? In fact, Haki kind of counteracts Devil Fruits to some degree. Now, what we got this chapter is kind of the opposite, because it seems as though Bonnie's Nika abilities are likely not as strong as Luffy's Nika abilities. Like, all she did here was just basically a standard gear third punch. But she can use Haki. And she didn't seem to understand that she could even use Haki, because she was surprised that she's hurting Luffy, right? Whereas if she was already a Haki user, then that would be a thing. So strangely enough, she's actually able to utilize Haki through, like, her Devil Fruit is able to actually, like, give her a future where she's able to use Haki, which is kind of crazy. I'm reading at this whole attack sequence again, and it's interesting. Yeah, I've never seen a team attack like that where everyone's like, attack Luffy and then we'll send him flying. I'm trying to read comments here. Wrench Dodger 2000 says, it's actually not unbelievable to me. Bonney has been a pirate for a bit, and she's gone pretty far into the Grand Line. Bonney was also overpowering vice admirals who have Haki themselves. Yeah, but from what it reads like, it seems like Bonney wasn't like a Haki user before this moment, right? So I totally believe that Bonney had the potential to be an extremely powerful Haki user, right? Just based on, she's cut out for Conqueror's Haki. It just fits her persona as a child, etc. However, before this, I got the sense that the way that she phrased this, and I'll wait on Viz's translation as well, it seems as though Bonney was not a Haki user before this. She was confused, like, how am I able to hurt Luffy, right? So to me, it seems as though this is a revelation. Her using Haki in this moment is a revelation, which means that it's the fruit that fast-forwarded her to a future where she could use Haki. And as far as I understand, the fruit's probably never done that, because we've seen other times her using the fruit's abilities, and, you know, she's not turning her limbs black and doing stuff like that. This is the first time that she's doing an attack and her limbs are black, right? Hassam Hashmi, thanks for the 2. Thoughts on casting for $2 for $2? Mr. 3 actor is dope. Okay, so who's the Mr. 3 actor? Because I saw a lot of people commenting on him. I didn't really look him up, but like, what's the deal with that? Why is everyone so excited about that Mr. 3 casting in particular? New X7, thanks for the 10. Live action One Piece rumors for Crocodile, Ace, and Kureha actors are Joe Magnilio, Zolo Maruduena, and Jamie Lee Curtis. Some rumors correctly predicted Smoker and Tashigi's actors. I'm straight, but Smoker's actor... oh, same rumors correctly predicted Smoker and Tashigi's actors. I think that would... I don't know who any of these people are. Who's Joe Magniello? I'm most interested in Crocodile's casting. Actually, Ace's casting matters almost even more, right? Joe Manganiello. He's oh wait, he played Flash? Holy shit. The Flash in Spider-Man, like the original not Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man? Holy shit, that would be so cool. Okay, let's take a look at Ace's thing. Um, he's Polka Dot Man from Suicide Squad. He's an Ant-Man in Okay, so he's a well-known actor. I did not know that. No, I know Jamie Lee Curtis. I know Jamie Lee Curtis. I was referring to the first two. I know Jamie Lee Curtis. I actually know that it was a huge controversy even when she was cast due to political stuff and political statements that she was making. I know that she's been vying to play Nico Robin. I know Jamie Lee Curtis. Everyone knows Jamie Lee Curtis. Sorry, I was talking about the first two, right? Jamie Lee Curtis as Kureha is actually practically confirmed as far as I know because it was kind of an open deal where they were like even the creators or showrunners were like, hey, Curtis, if you want to be on the live action, please, you're welcome to join. The role's there for you, right? So, Jamie Lee Curtis, yes, Jamie Lee Curtis' Korea isn't crazy. That's probably more likely than not going to happen as long as they're able to work out contract things, right? So, I'm going to look up Zolo Maridueña as Ace. He definitely looks like he could play the part of Ace. He looks very young, though. He almost looks like the same age as Luffy, you know what I mean? He's only 23, but I guess... How old is Luffy's voice actor? How old, or not voice actor? How old is Iñaki Godoy? Iñaki Godoy 20. So they look like they easily could be siblings. Iñaki Godoy. Yeah, I guess Ace just looks young too. So I'd be like they could be twins rather than big brother, little brother. But it does seem like a perfect visual casting to me. So that's cool. I mean, I love the live action. It is You know how many times I've watched the live action at this point? 3 times. I've watched the live action 3 straight times, which is once by myself, once with a friend watch party from start to finish, and then once with my mom, basically, my family. Well, my dad and my sister had already seen it, but I got to watch from start to finish with my mom. So I like it's really, really grown on me. I love the One Piece live action. I'm cool with I'm excited for One Piece live action coming up for sure. Jin Mori 255, thanks for the 5. Mr. 3 actor is just really good and shows up in a lot of stuff in secondary/minor roles, but is always solid with great acting range. Okay, so that's why people were talking about him so much. Interesting. I did not know that. Ace was 21, right? Yeah, no, I know, but there's a difference between manga/anime age versus real life ages, if that makes sense, because let's be honest, manga and anime, they will characters will be younger than you expect, but they're they come across as adults, you know what I mean? 17-year-olds are not who's 17? Usopp, Nami, and Luffy were 17 pre-time skip, right? Nami was maybe 18 pre-time skip. How old was Nami pre-time skip? Nami pre-time skip age. Nami was 18. I'm sorry. But in real life, high schoolers, which is essentially what they are, don't look or talk or act like the way that anime high schoolers. You know what I mean? In anime, fucking high schoolers are often. They're practically adultish in the way that they're portrayed, you know what I mean? Even what Zoro and Sanji are 21 now, right? In in One Piece, they feel like adult characters. In the real world, 21 is a baby, you know what I mean? You look like a child often when you're 21. You just do. Not literally like a child, but you're clearly very, very, very young looking when you're 21, you know? It's just the depiction of Ace that we got from the story versus the actor, Ace should, how do I say this? It's kind of the same way that just in media in general, I think the concept of what teenagers are, or even 20, 21 or whatever, versus how that translates to real life, there's just a disconnect, right? So Ace acts more like a 25-year-old in real-world terms in the One Piece anime, if that makes sense. Although this actor is 23, so that does track to some degree. Yeah, Giorno, in JoJo's, Giorno was 15 Is that actually right? Was Giorno 15? Never mind. It says he's 26, but that doesn't seem right either. It seems like he could have been 15, but Jotaro was fucking 17. Like this, it's just kind of ridiculous, and it's not accurate to what, like basically, how to explain this? The anime to real world, what do you call, conversion chart is. I think about it like this, which is basically, anime thinks that high schoolers and teenagers are essentially the equivalent of what we view as young adults, like mid-20s in the real world, basically. But it's just like, look at this. This is a fucking high schooler, and it's like fucking grown-ass man or something like that, Dimian writes as they're all treated like young adults. Exactly, right? So there's a conversion rate there in my mind. Hussam Hashmi says, Crocus will be played by the Blackfish from Game of Thrones. The Blackfish. I remember this was a cool character. I just don't remember exactly. The Blackfish. Was he someone's uncle or something like that? Was he Greyjoy? Am I crazy? Tully. Oh, no, never mind. Never mind. Okay. Cool. Uncle of Catelyn. Yeah, I remember this storyline. Yeah. That Jotaro was 17 and built like a bodybuilder in part 3. Yeah, exactly. OG3 says Josuke actually felt his age law. Yeah, Josuke seemed accurate, Yusuf says the creators know teenagers aren't like that. It's just for the sake of consumers. Yeah, I agree. But that's also why I'm kind of saying that, like, it's the same way that the rest of the Straw Hats, right? So rest of the Straw Hats, let me put it this way, right? When we're talking Ace's voice actor age, the rest of the Straw Hats they're casting in real life, it's a bunch of characters who are like in their 20s. I think Emily Rudd may even be like 30 or something like that. I might be wrong. But that all feels accurate to what the Straw Hats look and act like in the show and in the manga, right? Because there's a conversion, right? Like, you can't have like some 19-year-old kid like actually playing Zoro. You can't have it would just the same with Sanji, right? That it's just a conversion. It just doesn't line up. It would look like a baby basically playing these characters, right? Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Usopp. Like, you just need characters in their 20s. Like, I think Emily Rudd. I'm just gonna check. Emily Rudd, yeah, she was like 30 when it was filmed, 29, 28 or something. Like, that just feels more accurate to how we view Nami in the anime and manga, right? By that standard, that's why I'm saying that Ace, he seems young, because in real world terms, like, Ace would be like a baby compared to the majority of the real life Straw Hats visually looking, right? Whereas in the manga and anime, Ace was a little bit older, like slightly older, but he was a little bit older than the entire crew. Like, he wasn't just a big brother figure compared to Luffy. Ace was older, I think, compared to the entire crew, right? Like, Ace age pre-time skip. Yeah, he was 20. He was like, it's minor, but it's like, he's just coming from a place of being like a big brother figure in comparison to the entire crew, right? So that's just my thought. But I'm sure that the actor would do a really good job, and he does look a lot like Luffy, so that's a big part of it, New X7, thanks for the 10. Mariduena is MC of Cobra Kai and Blue Beetle. Oh, so he's already a big deal. Magnelio. Wait, so he's the main character of Blue Beetle? Wait, what? So that's a big-ass deal, right? I never watched it, but I know it's a big deal. Magnelio was in How I Met Your Mother and was married to Sofia Vergara? Holy shit. This guy hit the jackpot, huh? Mr. 3 actor was in Dark Knight. He was in Dark Knight? What did he do in Dark? Okay. I gotta look this up. What's the Mr. 3 actor again? Mr. 3 actor casting. Let's see. One Piece. What's his name? David Dasmalchian. Oh, and he was in Oppenheimer? Dark Knight. He was this dude in Dark Knight. Oh, So we got like a legit actor on board here. That's pretty cool. Cool. He's in Ant-Man, Dune, Suicide Squad, Oppenheimer, Last Voyage of the Demeter. Okay, so we got a legit ass actor here. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. Hey Morj, I'm really missing. Oh, Angel says, Angel, thanks for the 10. Hey Morj, I'm really missing your Chainsaw Man analysis right now. I'm not the smartest to put really big concepts and ideas together, as the story's really interesting at this moment. I don't think I've even read the last Chainsaw Man chapter, but how do I say this? I'm not even the person right now to give the best Chainsaw Man analysis because I have to read all of part 2, but I'm really looking for, like, reread the whole thing. Because when I did my part 1 analysis video, which to date, many people say is the best analysis video I've ever done. It's on the Manga Morj channel. That analysis video, I put so much fucking time into that, and then it got age. It was tracking to insane views. Like, it was tracking to a viewership level that would have been higher than anything on the Morj channel, but it just got cut. It got age restricted, and then it just flatlined in a way that I've never seen before. That really broke my heart, to be honest, and killed a lot of my motivation for the Manga Morj channel, just because it was just like, fuck, man. Like, that was like, it did better than I expected, but then once you kind of see, like, the potential of it, like, like, the potential of what it could be, and then it gets flatlined, then that really hurts. And it made me feel less motivated to put that degree of time in again to do another Manga Morj video, which is why the next 2 on Manga Morj were a little bit more low-key. But Chainsaw Man 2, I still want to do an analysis on that once that's all said and done, to the same level of depth and rigor that I did the first one. But I still need... I need to reread the whole thing. I need to reread part 2 from start to finish. When I did part 1, I reread the whole thing from start to finish, obviously, before then writing the analysis. So I need to do the same thing for part 2. That's the only way to do a really, really good high-quality thing that covers everything that's going on. But I appreciate the support for Chainsaw Man because it really is my second favorite ongoing series right now next to One Piece. English 1D1, thanks to the 5. All the actors are fairly high profile compared to those of the first season, which speaks to its success in my opinion. Yeah, because now it's like a juicy thing to hop on, right? So that's really exciting, and likely, as it keeps growing, that's going to be the case. I still think it's never going to be like... I don't think it's going to ever hit a point where, like... How do I say? People were like, oh, we're going to start getting... Like, the dream fan castings and stuff like that were like... Jim Carrey as like as Doflamingo and such, like you know, like really, really top tier level actors. That's never gonna happen because I mean Jamie Lee Curtis is probably gonna be about the highest level that it's gonna get, and that's because it's kind of a passion type of thing for her because she loves the series already, right? Whereas normally an actress of her level would still be outside the range of like what a TV show production like this could get, simply because even if you compare to the most successful TV shows ever, right? Like Game of Thrones in its latter seasons, when it was like at the peak of its popularity, even then it wasn't drawing in big name actors and shit like that, you know? It's not like you had huge, super important actors jumping in the final seasons to play random roles or anything like that. Same with like, you know, Breaking Bad at the peak of its popularity. It didn't have huge ass actors like movie star names jumping in to do that, right? At the end of the day, TV versus, like, people are always referencing movie stars and, like, those type of celebrities coming in to play these roles in, like, One Piece and everything. That's just not going to happen. There's a gap between movie star to even the highest level TV success. It's rare that movie stars want to step down to kind of be involved in something like that, especially if it's just, like, especially if it's not, like, the main character, right? Like, we're done with Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji. The main characters have been cast. You know what I mean? So I think it's very unlikely we get like the big names, you know? Jim Carrey's Bon Clay, maybe that's something more likely, but it's, you know. Wrench Dodger 2000 says paying movie actors to be on TV is not cheap. Yeah, and here's the thing, which is that I think it's my personal opinion. Also, let's get the stream likes to 200 real quick. My personal opinion is that I don't really want to see a big name movie star in these TV shows simply because it can sometimes be hard to see them as the character rather than that big name movie star, if that makes sense. You know, it can kind of be a thing because they're just significant in their, like, when you know that someone or something is just significant in a certain way outside this medium and this little world, it can almost take you out of it a little bit to be like, oh shit, okay, now Luffy's fighting like in One Piece, now we're fighting like the Rock or something like that. I don't know. It can just be a little bit, I don't know. It can take you out of it a little bit. I'd say exceptions are like something like Henry Cavill as The Witcher, but that's like from the get-go, he's casting himself as the main character, The Witcher, right? It's not like, oh, it's not like you're partway through The Witcher and it's like, wait, this character fucking Superman just showed up or something like that, right? So generally speaking, yeah, I think that I'm almost okay with there being a divide. Like I also think just with movie actors coming in, like it can be slightly distracting, but also I just feel like TV actors, there's just a slightly different skill set, I feel, when it comes to really embodying and playing one character for an extended period of time, like a TV show, versus just seizing a single format type, a single iteration type thing like a movie and really making that your own, if that makes sense. I think that sometimes there can be a difference. The example I always use is Bryan Cranston, because while Bryan Cranston, on the one hand, I think Bryan Cranston as Walter White in Breaking Bad is all-time great acting performance, like one of the best characters ever brought to life I've ever seen, movie or TV show. But then I see when Bryan Cranston gets thrown into movies and things like that, I never feel like his acting performance is that great. And I can always see traces of like Walter White or variations of it to some degree, similar mannerisms, etc. I think that sometimes one just doesn't translate as well to the other. I think like he really got to shine as Walter White in Breaking Bad because it was a long protracted development of a character that he really got to live in for such an extended period of time, if that makes sense. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Also, let's get the streamlights up to 200 real quick. Don't want Chris Pratt as Akainu. I love how Chris Pratt's just become this, like, the generic, easy to slip in to any sort of role. Like, hey, fuck, we need some guy to fucking voice Mario. Out of fucking Chris Pratt. Like, just this easy to slip in, like, likable enough. Not gonna give you, like, a 10 out of 10 performance or anything like that. But, like, no one's gonna be too upset, usually, about Chris Pratt. It's just, we're cool with it, you know? Like, it's the safe bet, you know? It's kind of hilarious that that's just the way shit's gone. Because I remember Chris Pratt from fucking Parks and Rec. And it's just like, how did this dude end up being this sort of, representing this sort of thing in Hollywood of just like, we need just like, you know, a nice, likable enough guy to just play this general role or something like that, right? Like, not piss anybody off, be likable enough, be, you know, just harmless enough. Chris Pratt. How about him? Marroquette says he's great in Malcolm in the Middle. I mean, he's funny in Malcolm in the Middle, but again, like that's also a show, right? So it's similar in the sense that it's a long, and it's nowhere near like a Walter White level performance. He's just a really good actor on that show. Amy Schumer as Nico Robin. Chris Pratt, Trafalgar Law. Murphy Napier as Nico Robin. OG3 he says he's totally lost the charm he has as Andy from Parks and Rec. I don't know. It's just he's just Chris Pratt. Like he's not gonna be as funny as he was as Andy from Parks and Rec, but Andy was a comedic role. He's usually not playing a purely comedic role nowadays, you know? He's just supposed to play a guy pretty often. Okay, enough of the fan casting. Hussam Hashimi says, Morj, would you ever be a TV director? I think no. I think it's one of those things where like I would love to be a director, as you guys know, but I would rather just do, how do I say, an independent film that nobody watches than be a TV director. Not because I don't think there's phenomenal TV directors, but I just think that there's something different about being able to put all your efforts into a singular creation like a single movie, like a 2-hour thing, versus over the course of a season or just one episode or something like that. I think there's just something different that's more appealing to me, personally. More just Jinbei. More just Bartolomeo. All right, guys, let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. Do I want to watch the S-Hawk clip? Because I did talk about that earlier. Do I want to watch the S-Hawk clip? I kind of don't. I'll do a poll on that. What is this clip? It's S-Hawk versus Luffy and Zoro or something? Either I watch the S-Hawk clip or we just keep talking about general stuff, basically. Alexander says the debate is so cooked, I'm back, goat. Can you please tell me what's happening in the debate? Can someone tell me? Also, let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. Okay, a lot of people want me to watch the S-Hawk clip. If we get the stream likes up to 200, I'll watch it. Yeah, upside down, reverse. You know the deal. You know the deal. You guys know the deal. Hold on. Okay. I've already got a setup for it, which makes it easier. So S-Hawk versus Zoro? What's the clip? I guess it's probably going to be on Crunchyroll, right? Crunchyroll. Here. Fuck. I hope I didn't get copyright struck right then and there. That'd be really frustrating. Oh, I have my desktop audio muted, so I guess we're good. You guys couldn't even hear that. Here, let me pull this. Let me show you guys this shit. Straw Hats and CP0 team up, right? I assume it's gonna be this. Okay, cool. Okay, let me pull this shit over. Hold on. Wait 1 second. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, so we're gonna. Hello. Should be good now. All right, good. We guys, you guys can hear me, right? Everyone good? Oh, video title is Zoro faces the return of the dice fruit. Zoro faces the return of the dice fruit. It's not. I'm looking at Straw Hat and CP0 team up. Okay, Zoro faces the return of the dice fruit. Oh, okay. All right, let's watch. I'm gonna keep this volume kind of low. Whoa, hold on. Also, first, let me triple check that everything's set up. Yeah, everything's set up. Okay. It's actually moving pretty fast. All right. Damn. Whoa. This is cool. This is not traditional One Piece animation. I mean, like, obviously One Piece has really, really cool flashy animation, but this is, I think it's kind of rare that we get this sort of more grounded, choreographed hand-to-hand combat. Yeah, this is very rare. I don't think I've actually seen something like this in One Piece before. This is awesome. This is amazing. What? Who animated this? Who came up with this? This is amazing. I love this. Oh my god, what the hell? Why are they going so hard for this? There's no reason to go so hard for this. Why are they going so hard for this? Why who decided? Look at Kaku. Why are they? Who decided? What the hell? This is awesome. And I love that they throw in like the Egghead Island sort of watercolor style for a moment. What? Are you guys seeing this shit? Oh my god. The skates, but with the jetpack? This is beautiful. This is awesome. This is such a creative way to come up with, additional, additional interactions for the fight. This is such a creative use of the Seraphim's abilities. I love it. I think this is, I'll save my thoughts for the end of this, but okay, I think that was genuinely the most, how do I explain this? I'm not trying to say this is the best bit of One Piece animation ever. I don't know. Like that's all up for debate, etc. But that was the most pleasantly shocked and surprised and just enraptured I've ever been watching a One Piece anime clip, I think. At least in recent years, right? Because I expected so little out of it. Because it was just Zoro fighting the S-Hawk Seraphim in essentially a filler skirmish, essentially, right? Like, none of that was real. As in, none of that was in the manga, as far as I can recall. I mean, they clashed a little bit, but I don't remember this being how their fight started. Because that was just not some... Like, when you guys tell me Law versus Blackbeard is going to be a huge deal, and by the way, that sequence, Law versus Blackbeard, was phenomenal, but that's still something that I expect to be phenomenal, right? That they're going to try really hard on it. I still thought the sequence is amazing. Love that Law versus Blackbeard sequence. Amazing, right? But you go in thinking that it's supposed to be a big deal, right? It's a premiere event in One Piece, right? Similar things like Luffy versus Kaido, Gear 5th, etc. This is the most that I've just been like... I was kind of just... I figured it would be some cool animation and everything like that, but I'll be honest, right? When you guys were saying, Morj, watch the S-Hawk thing, I went into it thinking that there hasn't been a good like, we're at a place in the story where there hasn't been like a huge fight in in a bit, right? I mean, we got Luffy versus Lucci, but it's probably been several weeks since we got like a really hype battle episode, like a couple months or something maybe. So I was kind of just thinking that maybe these guys are just so starved for some good animation, like a decent little fight clip or something like that, that they're probably overhyping the S-Hawk thing. But I genuinely, like, that was amazing. That was, I don't know. I was just not expecting anywhere near that level of quality and creativity from a random clip like that. Like, from everything, the way that it started out with just pure hand-to-hand choreography, which is not One Piece's thing. It's more flashy. Even the really big fights that are happening nowadays, very flashy, lots of auras, lots of effects and spectacle, right? This is more like taking a page out of, Kakashi versus Obito type shit, right? That was really cool. The little moments of seeing the vision of Mr. One again, the watercolor little fight. And I fucking lost it when the jetpack moment happened and he used his flame to just skate across. That was just an amazing little thing to think of as an animator. That was awesome. I fucking loved that. So that's pretty cool. So thank you guys for showing me that. Very, very pleasantly surprised. Happy to be wrong that I underestimated exactly how good that clip was going to be. Way, way, way better than I expected. I think similarly, One Piece episode 1015, I was blown away. But that's because even though that was a big scene, like chapter, like, it's Luffy, it's chapter 1000 essentially in anime form, them reaching the rooftop and everything like that. I still went into that with low expectations because I was I went into that realizing that it's probably going to be good, but I just hadn't really seen, that was the first time I saw like the high level, like really super high level One Piece anime effort, like, in Wano, right? Like that type of stuff. That they did do more consistently from then on the rooftop, right? But that was the first time that I realized that, oh shit, they're trying to hit a new level here with One Piece 1015. So that raised my expectations a lot. This was a situation where it was like I went in with low expectations, thought it was just going to be a cool little fight clip. Instead, it was probably one of the most impressive One Piece anime, like 2-minute fight sequences that's ever existed, and one of the coolest little anime fight sequences I've ever seen. Really, really cool. K-Maya says, when does Shanks one-shot Kid? That's what I want to watch. See, like, that's something that we all expect is going to be a big deal, right? So not to say that makes it... I'm still going to watch that, to be honest, and I might do a reaction out of that just because it is a big deal. But we all know that it's supposed to be a big deal, so it's a little bit different. This was awesome, and I didn't expect it, so it's just a little bit different. All right, everybody. Akash Panda makes a good point. We may have low standards for One Piece animation, but we only recommend it to you when it's extraordinary. That's true. I think so far there's not been a single time that you guys have recommended something to me as a big deal and in the anime, and I thought it was bad, except for Yamato versus Kaido. And even that, it wasn't because the animation was bad. It was just because it was like so absurdly, stupidly overdramatic, Like this was just, it's different if you do like just a cool fight scene. Like this was just a cool fight scene, right? But Yamato versus Kaido is just like a character with zero writing who just showed up out of nowhere, who just started yelling, I'm Odin and I'm Kaido's son and I hate my dad. And this all happened in the last like 5 minutes basically. And then like you're doing this super dramatic scene as though like they're acting as though it's fucking Luffy versus Usopp with the way that they're playing up the emotions of the scene. Like that scene has zero emotional weight, but you're trying to add so much dramatic emotional weight to it. That's why I thought Yamato versus Kaido was ass. Not because the actual animation and fighting was bad. This is more like if they just did Yamato versus Kaido like this, we're just have them fight, do some cool animation, I would have liked Yamato versus Kaido also. But aside from that, in general, I've always thought that every One Piece anime clip you guys have pushed and said for me to watch, I've always thought it's really, really good. All right, Tala's saying, everyone get Morj to read Vincent's thread explaining the scene. He's the animator. No, I don't want to read this. I don't want to read a thread. I don't want to. No, that's asking too much. I don't want to read a whole thing. All right, guys. All right. I'm probably going to wrap stream here in the next couple of minutes. Esteban BR says, Yamato really was her father's child. Both of them mid. Not going to touch that. I'm going to wrap stream here in a couple of minutes. Red Egg Grid says Garp straight to Hachinosu. Hopefully they extend the fight. There's going to be a lot of really cool fights that they're going to get opportunities to animate here in Egghead, so I'm excited for that. Can someone fill me in? How's the debate going? Is the debate going well? Candy's Good Gaming Channel says Yamato is a subjective bias as why you dislike it. I mean, I can say certain things. I mean, everything's subjective, right? Like, I could say I dislike that scene that we just watched now, right? Everything's subjective, but I can say objectively, Yamato was objectively a character inserted in the story out of nowhere, extremely late into the game, mid-final battle, with essentially no groundwork, no real substance written to her character outside of her saying that I read in a diary the story of Odin, and that's why I'm upset. Literally read it in a diary, that's why I'm upset. And yeah, objectively, all of these things are true, correct? Like, character has little to no writing substance behind her, right? That didn't happen, right? Inserted out of nowhere. Only character trait is basically mad at father, wants to be Odin, and help Wano be free. But no actual build up or setup for what this character, like for weight given to what this character is fighting for, right? Just all inserted automatically, right? So when I say that I think emotionally the grounds for the drama of this battle is shaky, I'm saying that that's because objectively there was basically no writing build up to this moment whatsoever. That's objectively true. And therefore, I think emotionally you're on shaky grounds. You know, you can say subjectively that's the case, like Morj, well, you should just be able to feel a lot of emotion because you should just feel a lot of emotion. I'm like, well, I prefer there to be writing build up that makes me feel emotion, right? So that's the case. I just don't know why I should care more about like why should I care about Yamato versus Kaido when this is a character that's just like, again, it would basically be the equivalent of if like right now we meet like Warkiri's stepson, Saturn's stepson or something like that, and Saturn's stepson is written in right now and it's just like, Saturn, I hate you and you're not my dad anymore and I want to join the Straw Hats and be with Luffy because Luffy's cool. And then we're just like, oh my god, this is the most dramatic thing ever. And like the anime plays it up as like this heartbreaking showdown. And it's just like, we just met you, bro. I don't know who you are. But anyway, that's just my thought. Who am I rooting for? Trump. Can we see the debate, please? What's going on with the debate? Akash Panda says this was the same animator as Yamato versus Kaido. Well, the action is good. The action of Yamato versus Kaido is good. I never criticized the action. I did criticize the drama behind it. If they tried to make this really fucking dramatic emotional scene when it has no basis being an emotional scene, I think that'd be kind of ridiculous, you know? All right, guys. Debate is a disaster. I'm probably just not going to watch any clips of it then. All right, guys. We're going to call it a stream here. And, yeah. Thanks very much for everybody tuning in. And, yeah, I'll talk to you all later. Peace.